So in the previous segments, we have learned how an MPS is made, how we can calculate projected available balance, and how we can calculate available to promise, both discrete and cumulative available to promise. So whenever there is a production plan at any level, it is checked against available capacity. For example, the production plan was checked against available resources. So we call that bill of resources, and we performed resource requirements planning. So MPS is also checked for feasibility. So that is called rough cut capacity planning. So rough cut capacity planning checks whether critical resources are available to support the preliminary master production schedules. So here again, our focus is on critical or bottleneck resources. Detailed capacity planning is done against MRP. So in MPS, we are concerned more with the critical or bottleneck resources. So critical resources include bottleneck operations, skilled labor, or some rare materials. So RCCP calculates load out through the planning timeframes. It is important to know the over and under loads before implementing the MPS. So that is actually the main idea, that we are still in the planning phase. So once we check the MPS against available capacity, there could be overloads or underloads. So these provide the master scheduler with the knowledge of the achievability of the production plan and the MPS as disaggregated. And if there are any mismatches, we can make adjustments in the master production schedule. So we will solve a very simple example. Actually, this is an extension of example number 1. So we had two mailboxes A and B. So it takes 2 hours to make one mailbox A and 3 hours to make one mailbox B. And the production will run on average 20 days a month, 8 hours a day. 20 days a month and 8 hours a day. Can the current capacity meet the demand in the MPS? If not, what alternate measures would you recommend? So if you recall, we made an MPS for both mailbox A and B. So we had 200 mailboxes B to be produced in Q1 and 4 and 200 mailboxes A to be produced in Q2 and Q3. So it requires 2 hours to make mailbox A and 3 hours to make mailbox B. So this is a very simple calculation. So in Q1 we need no time actually for mailbox A because MPS is showing a quantity of 0. So for mailbox B, we need 3 into 200. So that is 600 hours in Q1. So total will be 600 as well. We need 200 mailbox A. So 2 into 200 will be 400 hours. No quantity for mailbox B. So total will be 400. Same will be for Q3, and we again need 200 mailboxes B, so 200 into 3 will be 600 for mailboxes B, so we need 600 hours in Q4 as well. So we can sum up, so we need 800 hours for mailboxes A and 1200 hours for mailboxes B. So that is total 2000 hours. So it is given in the question that production runs for on every 20 days a month and 8 hours a day. But we are planning in terms of quarters, so there are 3 months in a quarter, 22 days in a month, and 8 hours a day. That will be equal to 528 hours per quarter. So we can easily see from here that there is no problem for quarter 2 and 3 capacity required. So that is called the load. And so load is less than capacity. So there is no problem for quarter 2 and 3, but for quarter 1 and quarter 4, the load is greater than capacity. So we can see what we can do. So of course, one of the options is to use overtime, because there is a difference of 600 minus 528. So per quarter we need 72 hours. So we can have an overtime of 72 hours for each quarter. Or we can see that quarter 2 and 3 are underloaded. So maybe we can shift some work from quarter 1 to quarter 2, or maybe from quarter 4 to quarter 3, if that is possible. So one option is to use overtime, another option is to utilize underload quarters for managing the loads for overload quarters, and we can do subcontracting as well. So depending upon the situation, we can make plan beforehand what we will be doing. So that is the important point. Whether we are going for overtime or shifting the load from one quarter to the other, or if we are going for subcontracting, we have to look for the available choices beforehand. So that is the basic purpose of rough cut capacity planning. Again, done for critical resources, for bottleneck operations, and detailed capacity planning is not done here. So there is another simple example, that work center 10 is our critical or bottleneck operation. And in this case, again, we have two parts, A and B. Part A requires 2.5 hours to be processed on this work center, and model B requires 3.3 hours to be processed on this work center. And these are the quantities of both models to be produced in each week's 5 weeks. So we can make similar calculations here as well. So for week 1, we will multiply 2.5 with 70 for model A. So we will require 175 hours. And for B, it will be 3.3 into 20, so that is 66. Similarly, for week 2, it will be 2.5 into 50, so that will be 125. For model B, it will be 3.3 into 40, so it will be 132. So we can continue in the same way, so 2.5 into 50 again, so that will be 125. 3.3 into 55 will be 182. For week 4, it will be 2.5 into 60, so that will be 150. 3.3 into 30, so that will be 99. For week 5, it will be 113 and 149. So total will be the sum of these two, so 241 hours load for week 1, 257 hours for week 2, 307 for week 3, 249 for week 4, and 249. Yes, 249 for week 4 and 262 for week 5. Now, if the available capacity at workstation 10 is on average 260 hours per week, suggest possible ways of meeting the demand in week 3 because load in every week is less than 260 except for week 3. So we have overload situation here again in week 3. So we can think of different options to manage this mismatch. So overload and underload solutions. So if there is overload situation, as we saw in these examples, we can use overtime, extra shifts, use personnel from one department to the other. So that is transferring the personnel. We can hire more workforce. We can split the job. So this is an important idea that you might have discussed somewhere in production scheduling. We can use alternate work centers and so on. There is underload situation, then that time can be used for training and maintenance. We can transfer workers from the overload workstations. We can use temporary layoffs if possible, or we can shorten the work days and we can reduce the subcontract. So of course, there are different options available.